Good evening. Welcome to the Business of Design Week Global Live. My name is Sarika Choi.
And I'm Vincent Tang. Under the theme Design for Change, tonight's summit will feature 3 sessions that gather creative leaders from around the world to discuss how design can change or even transform brand experiences and art appreciation.
That's right. So let's begin our discussion with consumers' experience and brand innovation. From defining users' experience to product design, how brands speak to customers has never been more important. Technology has given us new ways to interact as well as allowing companies to respond to environmental and social changes. Understanding the customer journey through these massive changes can be critical to a company's success. What can we learn from these new brand experiences? How can designers and creatives refine their strategies to incorporate new tech and invent new ways to reach their customers? Today, we'll be discussing the future of user experience and how brands innovate. Ross Lovegrove is one of the world's most acclaimed creative thinkers, best known for utilizing technology to create futuristic, organic forms. His design can be found within the permanent collection of MoMA, the Centre Pompidou, and the Vitre Design Museum. Tina Cho is Chief Marketing and Digital Customer Experience Officer at McDonald's Hong Kong. With more than 25 years of experience in managing global brands, Tina joined McDonald's Hong Kong as VP of Marketing in July 2019. She leads with a vision to bring in new development in digital and social marketing. Charles Bay Lee is SVP and Executive Head of Live Design Innovation Center at LG Electronics. He became the head of Mobile Communication Design Lab in 2010 and has supervised some of LG's most iconic smartphone designs. As Executive Head of Live Innovation, he leads multiple design-driven innovation initiatives. Our moderator is Andreas Karsa, CEO at DDB Group Hong Kong. Andreas set the strategic and creative vision for DDB Group and is focused on helping brands achieve an emotional advantage across the entire customer journey.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining our exciting panel tonight on consumer experience and brand innovation. Now, a brand, as many of you would know, is so much more than just a logo, a name, a tagline, or a marketing message. It is also how a company shows up for its customers, how it interacts with them, how it makes them feel, and also, over time, how it evolves together with them. So tonight we hope to gather a deeper insight into the world of brands and also the methods they apply to not only keep up to date, but also potentially change and shape the future and the world around us. And for this, I'm extremely happy to welcome our esteemed panelists tonight here in the studio in Hong Kong together with me, Tina Chow of McDonald's. Hi, Tina.
Hi, Andreas.
Dialing in from Korea, Cholbe Lee of LG Electronics. Hi, Cholbe. Nice to see you.
Hello.
And a visionary creator and sculptor of technology, dialing in from the UK, Ross Lovegrove. Good to see you again, Ross. So let's maybe kick it off with Ross directly, and let's have a look at Ross's introduction video first.
I'm not a designer. It's too simplistic. Designer as such means something related, I would say, to popular culture. I'm interested in uniqueness. Nature's phenomenal in developing and adapting materials which are all biodegradable. Thinking and creating with this synergy with nature's resources is profound. It's very important. I think once we understand that system better, then the things we make will be better. Organic essentialism is the shift from the mechanical to the biological. And I mean that in every sense, the way things are conceptualized, how they're built, what they're built from, the birth, life, death of those projects, a transition from what is sort of the Industrial Revolution and all of its fossil fuel inclusion, and through to today, 21st century. 21st century is the big one. This is an age where we have amazing people out there who are pushing forward. I don't set out to become cultural influence. I don't. But the things that I've been talking about for years are now sort of coming into play, that are beyond, oh, let's do the straight line radius product because it's nice and it's tasteful and everybody will buy it. What does that do? It doesn't do anything. We've got to deal with the bigger systems, and design can help figure that out. This concept of design for change, whatever that change is, will facilitate an improvement or a better condition. Young people should not be afraid of making proposals that don't get made. I think it's better to show investigations and new thought processes that then could be picked up at some point. My encouragement would be to see design education primarily as research and dialogue, and feeding as much into that system as possible so that we grow our mental capacity to think a different way. Not always to take leads from the people who are celebrated in society, because that's not helping. If I was a young designer, I'd be just thinking for myself about what a car should be, instead of looking at brands and shapes and God. Sometimes I think having an established brand is a curse. If you just sort of leveled it and started again with these new kind of principles that are popping up, you get a whole new, your garden would grow all sorts of new wonderful plants.
Now, Ross, you mentioned something really interesting in the video. You said that having an established brand sometimes can actually be a curse. And I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, that if you just leveled it and started from scratch, that potentially more meaningful innovation could come about. Could you elaborate on that point a little bit more?
Well, Andreas, that's a bit of a provocation, but it's the truth, unfortunately. I mean, every successful entrepreneur I've ever met in my life has embraced the fact that it's easier to revolutionize in the field as an outsider by starting a new venture. You know, for example, Apple was not born out of IBM, or the iPhone was not born out of Nokia. Tesla didn't come from Rolls-Royce, and so on. Being small and sort of nimble on your feet, connected and worldly, I mean, it gives you the freedom to do things differently. And to constantly, you know, readapt and even change your trajectory, which, you know, older, more lumpen, heavy brands can't do, if needed. You know, working for heritage companies, you often cannot be too radical or dramatically different. You have to satisfy preconditioning concepts or profitability or commercial viability. So there's, in my experience working for the very large companies, there was never really a name at the top, because when it's a brand, if you don't conform to what the rules of those brands are, you get fired. So there's a sort of fear factor in the big brand organizations, which are not there in individuals who say, right, I'm going to dematerialize this laptop, or I'm going to invent a whole new, you know, way of driving a car or creating energy. That doesn't come really, it's not transitionary anymore. You know, and Darwin always said, he never said, by the way, survival of the fittest. He said survival via adaptation. And we're living in an age of rapid transformational adaptation. And that is, with that comes a high degree of excitement, I think.
Thank you. And with that, over to Tina, who is working for a very established brand.
Yes.
So Tina, I understand in your current role as Chief Marketing and Digital Customer Experience Officer at McDonald's, you're obviously overseeing the marketing side of things, the brand, but also the digital experience side of things. And I also know that you joined the company at a point in time when McDonald's here in Hong Kong basically underwent quite a substantial digital transformation. Now, what role did brand and marketing really play in this transformation, and how has this experience been for you so far?
Andreas, yes, I joined McDonald's Hong Kong 3 years ago in 2019 when we were at a crossroad between conventional and digital marketing. I think all of us are aware, propelled by the COVID, people are quickly shifting to a mobile-first world, where they are using more and more of their mobile devices and also making more purchases online. And McDonald's has been the leading F&B restaurant with an extensive network of stores in Hong Kong. But all of a sudden, we found the fight is not on the streets anymore. It's in the mobile phone. So we recognize that we have to make some change, and a major change. And it's by then we decided to do and revamped our marketing in a way that would be fit for the future. And we decided to build up a new digital ecosystem from 0 to 1. So hence, one of the most important tasks that we have by then is to revamp our McDonald's mobile app. So by then, maybe now I could show all of you a few slides just to go through with you what we have went through as a transformation story.
Great.
So the mobile apps, we have actually revamped it 2 years ago. And in 2 years' time, we are able to manage it from 0 to millions of registered users, which means everyone in 2 of Hong Kong citizens is our registered users. And the way that we manage to achieve this is by redefining our ways of working, our ways of marketing. And let me show you. This is our app, and hopefully some of you might have this app in your mobile phone. And as I said, everyone in 2 of Hong Kong citizens is our registered users. And right now, we are in a stage to further increase its presence in the market. And the way that we try to do it is through revamping it through a number of ways. And what you're seeing right now is, in fact, it's so significant right now that it contributes to a significant percentage share of our business. Now we consider our mobile apps is our new front stores. It's our new storefront. And the way that we achieve it is by trying to do a new way of marketing, by converting the functional users to fans that have an emotional engagement with our brands. There are 3 ways that we achieve this. Is by redefining our ways to do our values, to do our convenience, and also how we market our communications. Well, first of all, I think what we are trying to do here is to leverage on the values, and based on the first-party data that we have, we will find out and identify the fans' favorite food, and we will give them more based on their preferences. So you just see that if they like a fish fillet, we will give them a double fish fillet. And if they like a sausage McMuffin, we will give them a double sausage McMuffin. And based on these behavioral data, we will also be able to serve them personalized coupons based on their food preference. So, for example, if you are a beef lover, you are more likely to get a discount coupon on Big Mac rather than a sausage McMuffin. And in this way, our customers is actually getting values, not just in terms of price, but also in the form of personalizations. So next, if you look at this, the other way we reinvent ourselves is through convenience. And from a lot of research, we understand that one of the big pain points of our customers is to queue up at our restaurants. Paying and waiting for the food. And we understand this, and hence we introduce a new feature at the app for them to order ahead and pay at the app. So that when the food is ready, we will send them a message in the mobile phone, and they can pick up at our store. Very easy, no hassles, and it's simple. And then third, is if we go on, Oh, sorry. I think we need to go back a little bit. And then third, it's about how we do we define our marketing communications. We are moving to a full funnel, online to offline model, which means that on top of the TV mass advertising to create awareness, we are also leveraging our first-party data to do targeted digital marketings. And based on their preferences, we will serve them the relevant food offer. And in this way, we will be able to really personalize our advertising. And also by using machine learning, we will be able to extend it to a lookalike group on the digital platform so that we will be able to increase our conversion rate. Let's look at this is McDonald's Hong Kong is actually the first company in global that partner with Google. And to be specific, is Google Analytics 4. To leverage their machine learning capability and apply it on our business to increase our conversion rate. With this machine learning capability, we are able to predict who are the customers that are likely to spend with us in the next 7 days, and who are the top spenders in the next 28 days. And with this information, we will be able to serve them an offer that is based on their favorite food, like I said before. And then that helps to increase our conversion rate. The success is very obvious because if you look at the next slide, the results is phenomenal. We were able to increase the app usage by 5 times. And at the same time, we also help to increase the customer's experience. So we are very happy with these transformations.
Thanks, Tina. And yes, I do have the app, and I use it very often. And you do retarget me with beef offers quite a lot. So let's move over from the QSR, or from the quick service industry, to electronics, to consumer or everyday life electronics. And let's play maybe Cholbe's introduction video.
사람들의 삶은 계속해서 변화해 오고 있습니다. 저는 1991년부터 LG전자를 다녔고요. 그 당시는 모든 사람들이 전자제품들 갖고 싶어 했습니다. 그래서 니즈가 많았던 시대였고 경쟁사가 잘하는 모습을 우리도 잘하고 싶어 했습니다. 우리는 어떻게 잘할 수 있을까 고민했던 시기였고요. 두 번째 10년은 고객의 라이프 스타일을 많이 연구했습니다. 그땐 사람들이 무엇을 원하는가를 고민을 많이 했던 원치의 시대였던 것 같습니다. 지금 30년 차에는 디자이어의 시대를 살고 있다고 생각합니다. 미래의 고객의 삶을 예측하고 그 미래의 삶에 필요한 것들을 미리 준비하는 것이 디자이너의 역할이라고 생각합니다. 저는 LG전자 디자인 경영센터를 맡고 있는 전무 이철배입니다. 저희가 출시했던 새로운 공청기, 최근에 출시한 색깔이 변하는 무덤 냉장고들은 모두 다 디자인의 창의성으로부터 시작된 제품들입니다. 디자인 창의성이 LG전자의 경영에 있어서는 아주 중요한 축을 담당하고 있다고 생각합니다. 냉장고를 디자인한다고 가정하면 냉장고를 사용하는 고객들의 모든 삶의 전 과정을 관찰합니다. 관찰하다 보면 좋은 가설을 세울 수 있습니다. 관찰하다 보면 고객들이 뭔가 불편함을 느끼는 장면, 이런 것들을 저희가 발견하게 되고 그 발견으로부터 혹시 이런 컨셉의 냉장고를 만든다면 고객들이 좋아하지 않을까 가설을 세우고 그것을 검증하게 됩니다. 결국 디자이너의 창의성이라는 것은 디자인 띵킹에 의한 문제 해결 방법론을 가지고 창의적인 제품 디자인의 컨셉을 만드는 것뿐 아니라 그것이 이 세상에 나올 수 있게까지 하는 과정조차도 창의적인 과정으로 해결하는 것이 중요하다고 생각합니다. 앞으로 미래 사회는 많은 변화를 겪게 될 것입니다. 어찌 보면 인공지능은 아주 단순하고 반복적인 일을 잘합니다. 하지만 인공지능과 AI가 우리 삶에 들어오는 미래 사회를 생각해 보십시오. 지금 글로벌 워밍이라든지 인공지능, 메타버스 같은 많은 변화 요인들이 나타나고 있습니다. 이런 것들은 디자인의 시각을 키우는 데서 문제 해결의 단초가 있다고 생각합니다. 제품 디자이너들은 가구 디자인을 봐야 되고요. 가구는 공간을 지향하기 때문에 건축 디자인을 봐야 됩니다. 건축 디자이너들은 자연의 일부를 만든다고 해요. 자연은 신이 만들었습니다. 어찌 보면 신이 인간도 만들었고요. 인간은 다시 AI를 통해서 인공지능과 로봇을 만들려고 하겠습니다. 이런 사이클을 생각해 보면 사람들이 집중해야 될 요소를 찾을 수 있습니다. 어찌 보면 인공지능도 사람처럼 퍼스널리티와 관계 형성 능력이 중요할 수 있습니다. 인공지능과 함께 살아가는 시대에서는 인공지능의 퍼스널리티와 관계 형성 능력을 연구하는 것도 중요하다고 생각합니다. 새로운 시대의 변화를 맞이해서 저희가 영위하고 있는 제조업 분야에서도 경쟁력을 유지해야 돼 메타버스와 AI를 품을 수 있는 새로운 사업들을 많이 구상한다면 많은 성장의 기회가 있을 것이고 저희가 추구하는 고객의 더 나은 삶, 라이프 굿을 추구할 수 있을 것이라 생각합니다.
So, Cholbe, in the video you spoke a little bit about your role as head of LG Electronics Life Innovation Design Center. But I know you've recently been promoted. First, congratulations. But you've been promoted into a position where you're actually not overseeing designers, but you're now overseeing a group of engineers or product developers. Could you tell us a little bit about your new role, what it entails, and also what it means when somebody with a design background like yourself now gets to guide a group of engineers?
Thank you. Congratulations for the Hong Kong Design Center for 20 years anniversary. Actually, yeah, I recently took a new role of the head of the Consumer Experience Center. So it's overlooking all the experiences LG is going to deliver. So my mission is to answer on the question, what kind of experience LG Electronics wants to deliver to the market? So the life experience is like a very comprehensive. I have to cover all the product, service, content, and the even business model LG is going to deliver. So it's a broader spectrum. So as a creative problem solver, I think I'm honored that I can bring my design talent and creative energy into this new job. I hope that I can take this job pretty well.
Great, thank you. And we'll talk definitely a little bit more about what it means to be somebody with a design mind and go into a role that is more directly related to product development. And all three of you, very clearly, when it comes to your work, you have a foot in the future when it comes to shaping brands and designs and experiences. But at the same time, I'm also really curious about the role the present and potentially even the past can play when it comes to shaping experiences for consumers. So maybe Tina, let me start with you. For marketing and branding, it's obviously very important and very crucial to keep up with the times and to be very timely in our approach. But at the same time, for a heritage and a very well-established brand such as McDonald's, I think it's also equally important to respect the timelessness and the timeless component of the brand. So my question to you really is, how do you balance the ever-changing culture around us with the unchanging, such as human emotions?
Yeah, I think indeed, yes, Andreas, you're right. McDonald's always has a very special place in people's hearts across generations, I would say. And partly because it has a very strong international heritage. At the same time, it also has a very strong root in Hong Kong with its 47 years, establishment here. And sometimes it would be very amazing to see that, the brand essence of being a happy place with delicious food has actually never changed over the years. And if I talk to people like the younger generations, like the Gen Z and Gen A, I usually would be surprised how connected they are with the McDonald's land characters like Ronald, Grimace, Birdie, and Hamburgers. And these characters are actually born much earlier than them. So I would be amazed about how nowadays the younger generations is iterating and reviving the older pop cultures. And this nostalgia, or maybe let's call it nostalgia, is really now, I mean, in the play right now. So I guess McDonald's is being in part of it, and our brand essence is always about connecting people with these emotions. And hence, our brand is forever young in that way, that we provide as a source of comfort and familiarities as connections as well. So what we're trying to do is we will always place our brand in place that is relevant to people and use technologies as the enablers.
That's great. Ross, maybe over to you, a similar question or in a similar vein, because I believe that a big part of your design philosophy is actually to almost disrupt and rethink the status quo. So my question to you is, within a design philosophy like this, is there a role to play for the unchanging? Is there a role to play for the past? Or does it have to be disruption and innovation from scratch, or rebuilding new at all times?
Look, before I answer that, I have to say how uplifted I was by Chul's presentation there. And it's nice to be on this panel with you, Chul, and to see you again. You know, a company like LG has a lot of competition, and because of that, they are trying to find the essence of how and why they will gain advantage. And to gain advantage on anything in this world, whatever we're talking about, you have to go to the absolute source and reason why something should or could exist. From the very outset of my career, I identified several principles which I don't change because I don't see how they will. That's the idea of dematerialization, less material, resourcefulness and appropriation, energy consumption reduction, all of these things which are related to the full cycle of how you create. 20 years ago, I stood on a stage in Monterey, and I delivered a speech called Love Grove Genesis, where I predicted that design would be replaced by algorithms. AI would take over, and into that system, you would feed everything that we know, all the logic, all the history, everything about a particular product. And out of that would come an essential, absolutely core existence of a product. Then friends of mine criticized me, saying, well, what about the style? What about the language? Well, you know, that's where the designers like myself come in too, because we spread a little bit of that unique pixie dust just to lift that product away from engineering and into the realm of humanity and the way that humans want to live. You know, when I look around me these days, I don't know if it's just me, but I find that everything's so primitive. And I just have another way of seeing things that is really trying to lift one's mindset into the future and relate to a lot of the issues which we face. You know, we're in a new third phase industrial revolution that is incredible. And people who are sitting in the audience probably don't even connect to this. This is the idea of additive manufacturing, new softwares and so on, predictive softwares, which are incredible. I work very closely with AI, and I have a dialogue with AI as it's my friend. It informs me, I inform it. So anything that you see that comes out of my work these days is, it comes from me. It comes from my own DNA. So I think now in the 21st century, we should be reshaping, reforming, rethinking everything from zero, from ground up, because that's our only chance, really, to consume in the way we want to consume, but still have something which relates to organic planetary issues.
That's interesting. Thank you. Cholbe, how about yourself? When it comes to creating and designing everyday life products, is there a role for the old, or does it have to be new at all times for you?
Yeah, and it's a challenging question, but imagine the human being was there for several, like tens of thousands of years, and they are eating, playing, and in love with their families, and they are sleeping, studying, working. It's not changed. So there are things which which is not changing, and there are things which is changing. So like thousands ago, they preserved the food in the cave, and maybe they made a canned food, and people invented refrigerator. And nowadays, people are getting delivery out of app. So obtaining fresh food material is unchanging value. But the means to get the fresh food has been changing. And when it comes to the play, entertainment, like Roman people went to Colosseum, see the fighting. And people went to cinema to see the movie. And the family gathered to watch the television. Nowadays, people are watching YouTube on their mobile phone. So pursuing some entertainment material to play is not unchanging value. And the means are changing. So as a designer and experienced researcher, we have to forecast what kind of the changing material, changing means will coming up with the unchanging value for the human. That's where business opportunity comes up. So that's my opinion.
Thank you, Jorbe. And I would like to stick with you for a moment. You just mentioned in your answer as well the notion of research. And I know that in your early days, in your early career, when you started off with LG Electronics, you had an episode that was quite eye-opening for you in terms of behavioral consumer insights. And ever since, I know that you have done your utmost to always put the consumer and consumer insights first and at the core at everything that you're doing. Could you first maybe tell us that little anecdote of yours from your early days in your LG career? And second, maybe also explain to us a little bit how you manage to always put the customer and the consumer front and center when designing your products.
Yeah, I became an executive position at the early days. That was that was because of my early day research. When I have been sent to America, actually we were to sell the Korean refrigerator into the American market. It was 2000, but we couldn't make it because the buyers said that this is not American. So we went through the customer research, very deep dive cultural research, and realized that the container of the food of American people is totally different from the Korean food container. They were using bigger bottle, bigger container, and they were like drinking wines. So we completely redesigned inside organizational structure of the refrigerator, and that was the very first food to the American market. And now we are selling over tens of billions of dollars to the American market. So ever since then, we have been researching their consumers' life, American or other Asian or Middle East and American or South American. So consumer observation is the core source of our inspiration. We are just observing the living life of the consumers. The observation should be taking a longer time. Or these days, we are observing data to observe people's life. So consumer observation is the primary source, and this is the primary insight source for us to design the more culturally attaching the appliances and intelligence sets and whatsoever.
That's really interesting. Thank you. I'm always fascinated by cultural differences and how small little behavioral insights can really make a difference for products and brands to break through in other markets. And obviously, McDonald's is also a big global international brand, but you also do a lot of work in researching the market and understanding what is really relevant to people here in the market. So what are some of the methods that you apply to make sure that customer understanding is always front and center for you?
Well, McDonald's would have its multiple inputs. I mean, like research. I mean that I think we just talk about is traditional research like qualitative focus groups and etc. But I think with the trends of digitals, we are also spending a lot of time doing social listening. I mean, there are people making comments on the digitals and social platforms that we would like very much to get the sentiments and the rationales of their feedback. But I think what really set us apart is the ability for us to leverage our first-party data from our mobile apps that I just mentioned, that the depth of insights that we'll be able to get from them, and the data that we'll be able to put into our product development. So to give you an example is that, I mean, we are talking about beef lover, right? So people who like Angus, and we have data to also associate them with the love of eggs. And hence, based on that, we have invented to have fried eggs together with Angus and come up with a limited time offer that will be able to entice people in the promotions. So as simple as that first party data will be enable us to do a lot of interesting things.
Great, thank you. And how about you, Ross? I know you also collaborate from time to time with brands. And when you do so, what role does consumer understanding play within your process?
Well, two things there, Andreas. One is that brands tend to come to me because I am a brand, and that two brands are bigger than one. So it means that there's a certain brand association that's based on my philosophy, which I've been developing for the past 40 years. I've transitioned from the 20th century, which is the analog world, into the 21st century, which is the digital world, and that's why the Centre Pompidou held that large exhibition of my work. So underpinning everything that I do is the discovery of a narrative, the reason why. But what I've noticed is that people have lost their instinct because they're so detached from every aspect of life. They don't know where anything comes from. So one of the things that I've been thinking about intensively recently is the idea of design as documentary, which means that every aspect of the conception, prototyping, making, delivery, everything of a design is documented so that the consumer will fully appreciate the massive intellectual and physical energy and cost of developing really radically new products. You see it a little bit from new brands like Tesla and so on, where they're very transparent about their technology. In fact, they share their technology. So that's really interesting to me. But you know, at the end of the day, it's this new narrative, and my work is technologically advanced, but it's also organic, complex, and sensual. But all that comes from having a very human instinct. It's not a pinpoint of culture. My way of thinking is on a planetary, global platform. It's not sitting here in the middle of the countryside. And in fact, it's not that. It's the outreach. So I might live and work in the UK, but I don't actually work for anybody in the UK. My outreach is global because I'm dealing with very, very profound core issues of why something should exist or could it exist. And that fascinates me because I have a mind which is leaning forward. I don't lean back. If I lean back, I go deeply, deeply primitive into the deep past, where first objects were incredibly lean and fat-free. And now we live in an age where products are often fat and obese and use too much material and break and don't last and don't relate. And I think this is an underscoring message for a younger consumer who is not going to go out and spend £20,000 or dollars on a fancy sofa when in fact they've got other things on their mind. And so this is something that we need to recalibrate. And underneath all of that, again, is the need for emotional intelligence. Because it's all right having AI or any other digital platform, but you need emotional intelligence so that you can sit there and say, this feels right to me. No, this does not feel right. So I sit on boards around the world on the big corporations just to give them advice as a sort of oracle of what is possible, what is not possible, why is this right, is this wrong? And it's a fascinating point for design, I think, because out of that can come incredible things, I believe.
That is very fascinating. Thank you, Ross. And just maybe to double click on this really quickly, Tina, maybe over to you. Ross was talking about moving forward and looking forward, and talking a little bit about what his design philosophy and art can do for brands and people and our environment at large. Just to maybe close things off. Do you have a particular wish also looking forward when it comes to this intersection of brands and innovation? What would you like to see more of, or what would you like brands to potentially stop doing as well?
Yeah. Well, I think, just following the topics about arts, I see a lot of brands actually using arts, to go into the space of metaverse or NFT recently. And I see a lot of creativities and innovations in terms of how brands leverage this space. I'm actually, looking forward to see, a sustainable business model coming out of it for mass brand, just like McDonald's ourselves or any other brands that would be able to leverage this, to the benefit of a greater mass. So that would be my wish, and I think I'm a part of it, to explore as well.
Great, thank you. And last but certainly not the least, Chorbe, what is your point of view? Do you have a particular wish when it comes to this intersection of brands and innovation, or the utilization of technology? Is there anything that you would like brands to start doing, or potentially even something that you would like them to stop doing?
I think the true innovation could be originated from the collaboration from now on. So collaboration between my people, collaboration with external people, like a community. So I think we have to listen to the community stuff. And I'm not a genius, but the problem of modern days are very complicated. It is not easy to resolve. But if I gather together our capability, I'm a designer. I do have a strategy people. I do have a management people. I do have a financial people. If we gather together, if we gather our capabilities together, I could be closer to the genius person. So I can maybe resolve very complicated problem, innovation problem, by structurizing the structure into the smaller, more easy to solve problems. So with this kind of effort, I can really initiate a true innovation which will be beneficial to the human civilization. So I think we have to open up broaden the spectrum of the collaboration, to initiate a true innovation. That's my perspective.
Thank you, Chorbe. And unfortunately, we are close to the end of our panel tonight. I think just taking a few bits and pieces of our conversation, we could already potentially talk an entire day, potentially even an entire week about it. But I certainly learned a lot, and I find it very interesting to see certain red threads through the points that you all made here tonight about the importance, obviously, of understanding the nature of humans and really having this insight into human behaviors, into their minds, into their feelings, and into their hearts, while at the same time, obviously, the importance of disrupting the market, disrupting things, and innovating to really break through certain barriers, but at the same time, also not lose sight of, when it comes to brands, what really has made them the strong brands today, and also pay respect to the heritage and to the emotional connections that people have built with brands over time. So thank you again so much to our esteemed panelists, and thank you everybody here as well for joining this really exciting panel tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you to our speakers and moderators. Understanding the needs of a consumer really makes a difference in designing brand experiences.
Absolutely, and such a treat to hear from such luminaries in the field.
After the break, we'll get to discuss innovation and technology in art exhibits. Please stay with us.